And there it is. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the gameBYTES show. My name is Jeremy Lawman Lamont, and as you saw from our opening there, I am sharing with you tonight Nobunaga's Ambition Sphere of Influence, which is a strategy game from a series long in the tooth. Been around since the NES, or maybe even earlier than that. You know, I don't have the history here in front of me. I am, of course, part of the gameBYTES show cast. I am standing in this week for Jared Red Eye Dunn, who is our usual streamer, doing a broadcast a little bit later this week than is usual, but just wanted to share a game that I have been playing a lot lately and that I don't think is getting quite a lot of airtime. I don't think a lot of people are talking about this game. It is a hardcore Japanese strategy game set in the Sengoku Jidai period of Japan, the era of warring states, feudal Japan. So we've got about a half hour or so to do this. gameBYTES, of course, we bring you these games in short, easy to digest little game bites. And we're going to just talk a little bit about Nobunaga's Ambition, how it works. It's the kind of game that takes a long time to play. It's not quite in the same vein as 4X games, but if you can imagine the kinds of games that we would see on PC for, let's say, Civil War strategy games, this is one of those sorts of games, but lovingly crafted by folks in Japan, based on their own history. So I want to give you just one quick sense before we get started of the sense of this game. The features themselves are fairly straightforward. It's single player only, so you can either start a new game, you can load a game that's been previously saved, or they have a bunch of options here specifically for the officers. The characters that you employ in your bid to unify Japan play a big role. In fact, they are sort of the key to victory in a lot of senses. And so I just want to show you the officer directory. Here we have over 1,800 different individuals here that are of varying historical accuracy, I guess. I'm not sure if all of these characters are legit, actual actual historical characters, but all of these people, and I've only unlocked a few of them, so the ones that I've actually used in-game, they show up here with their portraits, but they all have different personalities, different traits, things like that, and there's just a ton of them. I mean, they just go for miles. And that's a lot of Japanese names scrolling through in front of me. But that's the type of game that Nobunaga's Ambition is and has become over the years. It's definitely got increasingly more complex, and I want to show you that here tonight. So I'm going to start a new game, and here we have Japan. And up in the menu, we have a few different scenarios that we can select from. In the various years, so this game progresses in months, so different months and different years, and they've got different scenarios set up that you can kind of pursue your own particular unification strategy for Japan. Notice that as I toggle between these, you can sort of see the layouts. Different clan sigils appear throughout the various territories in Japan, and you can see there are a few that, like that, the red folks there are the Oda clan, Nobunaga Oda, which, the titular character, Nobunaga's Ambition. But you can basically play, as far as I know, as any of these particular clans, and time will progress, and, of course, you can pursue relationships with different clans to try and build your coalitions, or, in your bid to take things over. You can pursue it in a bunch of different ways. So I'm just going to sort of pick one. I mean, for our purposes tonight, one of these is as good as any others. And I'm going to show you sort of the beginning game, and we're going to spend some time looking at a game that I've been playing for quite a few hours that I think will give you a sense of what happens as you get into the mid to late stages of the game. So we're going to go ahead and choose here in April 1560, the Battle of Okehazama. I have no idea what's going on here. We can select the clan that we're going to play as. It starts you out with the Oda clan, Nobunaga. Here we have the Imagawa clan, and I don't know if you can see it. The interface is a little bit zoomed out here, but I can sort of scroll through all of the different emblems for the different clans. So, let's just go ahead. Let's just go with the Oda clan here. We'll play as Nobunaga Oda. He's our daimyo, our lord. And I'm going to choose the easy difficulty just to try and get through some stuff in this case. You can also set things like your income, your harvest levels, labor, how much manpower you can employ to develop towns and things like that. So you'll see that this shares a lot in common with 4X games, except there's not as much exploration. It's a known area that you're playing in, but lots of things to consider. So we're going to go ahead and go with whatever these settings are. We're going to leave it, I think, quests we're going to turn on, events we're going to turn on, the lifespan, sure, we'll let people die, battle death, sure, maidens, whatever. Yep, so we'll do all of this. We're going to do all of this. And we're going to go ahead and begin with that daimyo. It gives you little historical tidbits here, but it zooms right into our little prefecture here in Japan. One of the things that happens during these games is you're going to see story events that happen that could be historical in nature. So here we have Yoshimoto Imagawa, who's going to start raising some hell. But meanwhile, in Owari, Imagawa forces are marching upon us. Yoshimoto himself. But Lord Nobunaga is not afraid. This battle won't be easy. Now is the time that I face my true trial. So it's going to start us out with a quest here to begin with. We need to, looks like we're going to look far into the future. It's going to tell us we need to surround Narumi Castle. Now, this is just one way that the game sort of moves you forward. One of the things that happens in strategy games of this kind, and I've mentioned this before on the audio podcast, is you tend to get to a point where not a lot of action is happening and you start floundering a little bit. So having quests to tell you what you're working on and what you need to be doing next is pretty helpful. So the view here we are kind of closer to the ground in Japan. We're going to zoom out a little bit. This game is purportedly originally designed for use on the PC. But I can use the PlayStation 4. We're playing on console today. We're playing on the PlayStation 4. So I can use the touchpad on the controller to kind of scroll around. And we have, cursor control here as well that we can kind of zoom out and take a look at things. And, take a full view in, or you can zoom in and kind of just look around anywhere that you want to. So pretty nice looking, the mountains. I mean, I'm not sure if this is all geographically 100% accurate, but, here we have Mount Fuji here. Looks pretty big to me, so seems right. All right, so here we have control of 4 little areas here, and we can actually take a look. If we switch to our menu, take a look at our diplomacy menu, we can kind of see our relationship with other clans here, or rather what their relationship is with even other clans. So you kind of have to think a couple of steps out. If you start pursuing relationships with a particular clan, you got to think about who you might be pissing off in the meantime. So our nearest neighbors, they do have clan. It looks like the Saito clan is friends with the Rokaku clan. Down here we have the Imagawa clan, but they are hostile to us, so I don't think we're going to get too far by pursuing relationships with them. These guys seem like they'd be open to talking to us, so we're going to send someone from our team. So I mentioned at the beginning the officers. These are all of our officers. These are all retainers and family members and people who can do things for us. They all have a rating here of how much trust we will gain by sending them per month to visit that clan. So we're going to go with Mr. Koroku Hachisuka. Hachisuka-san, we're going to send you to talk to the Saito clan. So in 26 months, they would have 100% trust with us, so it's a little bit slow going. It also costs us 600 gold, 600 monies per month, so we're going to send him off to talk to the Saito clan. We might need their help a little bit later. So we're going to take a look at some of our other menus here. We're going to take a look at the civil menu, and we're going to look at developing some of our little towns. So we have Nagoya, our capital here, Kiyosu Castle, Inuyama, and Suemori. So we can basically take any of these and we can decide what we're going to spend some labor and some gold to increase. And you can see, you can toggle these and see not only what it will increase the threshold for that town, but also what the bigger picture is going to be on your total harvest. So if we increase from 585 to 685 crops, our harvest is basically, it's a little bit like a secondary currency. You use it to field armies. They take resources to march along, and they have supplies for a certain amount of time. So we're going to go ahead and go with harvest here. Our retainer there is telling us that we should probably look at making our castle safer, but you know what? We're going to throw caution to the wind here. We're going to bolster our crops. Down here, though, in Suemori, I mean, we're a lot closer to the Imagawa clan here, so we're going to take a look at them, and let's bump up our troop capacity here. And you know what? We'll do the same thing in Nagoya. Now you can see that there's I don't know if you can tell from the video, but in our conscript section here we have a hard limitation. We don't have enough crops to actually house more people here, so as I add more crops it'll give me the ability to house more conscripts, so you know, maybe we'll spend a month and just work on our farms a little bit. The cool thing, so I'm not going to have enough time to make it very far in this campaign in our little gameBYTES segment here, but let's go ahead and we're going to progress time for just a moment. We're going to tell it that this turn is over for the time being. And I'm going to set it to the slowest setting, and as I do that, you can actually see here, kind of moment to moment, our crops and our little town improvements here. They actually will start to fill in. Oh, there it was. I don't know if you saw that, but I zoomed in right as it added a little bit more to our little tilling fields there. Each of these zones represents different things: our commercial district, our agricultural district, and our troop capacity. All of those are represented. And then all of these roads, too. In fact, we can actually turn on the ability to see how all of these things... So it works a little bit like you might say Risk works. You have to actually be able to march your armies through roads that are of varying conditions. Wider roads will allow you to move further and faster, and the less developed roads will hinder you a little bit. So there we can see that. We can also toggle just so we can always see province information. We can see foreign relationships and those kinds of things. So when you zoom out, it makes it a little bit easier to see what it is that you're looking at. So we didn't field any troops this turn, but one of the nice things about when you're in the active phase is you can actually send armies out really at any given time. But at the beginning of your turn, you only really have the ability to set some of your policy decisions, what kinds of things you'll be working on for that month, all of that. So between turns, every month you have a council meeting with all of your retainers and your various, I don't know what you'd call them, sub-daimyo, I suppose. And we can look at our expenses and our income. It looks like we have a little bit of a deficit, but we've got a pretty good nest egg here. It'll also show you what you're spending your money on. So here, my diplomacy, since I sent some people to the Saito clan, it's going to cost us 600 smackers each month. Also, any other things that happen, it looks like we have some Ronin that we can hire if we need more officers. I don't think we really need to. Not much else than that is going on. Let's take a look at some of the other menu options here. So we already looked at diplomacy. We can manage our officers. We can actually move them around because their vicinity to different towns and different prefectures really will make a difference on what they're able to do for us. And let's see, we can actually also do some covert operations here. Covert operations include trying to subvert officers of an enemy clan. Looks like we actually have an officer here in nearby Kutsukake who is not happy with his daimyo. Looks like Sadayoshi Okudaira is not too thrilled with the way things are going for the Imagawa clan. Looks like he really values fame. So we can actually appoint one of our guys here to work on that. Now, Hideyoshi Kinoshita, I guess, would be the most logical choice here. He would improve this guy's discontent by 5, but he actually is currently an overseer of one of our towns. So we could actually send Nobunaga Oda himself. That seems a little bit too much. So we're going to send one of our retainers, Kazumasu Takagawa. And this is going to cost us, I think, another 600, somewhere on here it tells us how much it'll cost. Anyway, it'll cost us some money. So we'll send him off and see if we can get him to do us a favor. Alright, so back to our menu. Another thing we can do here is manage our retainers. We can actually give them gifts. Our own guys can, have varying opinions of the way things are going for us, so we got to keep an eye on their loyalty. We can marry them off to daughters or you know, maidens that we get into our employ. Looks like we can also take a look at some of these Ronin who are available for hire. So since this is the first time I've opened the Ronin menu, it's telling me a little bit about that. There's not too much to say other than here are our guys. Looks like it costs us 100 a month for each of these guys. I think we've got plenty. We don't need to worry about those guys. Ronin have no honor anyway. We can also survey our lands and find hopefully some new improvements. You can get gold mines. You can get special extra routes that you can unlock. You can do some of those kinds of things. We'll, you know, we'll survey a couple of our towns here. We'll take a look at Kyosu here. And they'll give you a little bit of an idea. Depending on who you choose to do it, they may be better suited for it, and they'll tell you, oh, you know, we should be able to do well at this. So we'll go ahead and inspect an area a little larger than usual, so Senor Tomita, sorry, Tomita-san, will do us hopefully a good turn there. We can also set up little sub-provinces. Actually, that's one of the cool things that I really like about this game, is that the game sort of scales. So at this point, when we're looking at each of our towns, so we're going to do some... all of my guys want to do conscripts, so you know what the heck, maybe we can even get a fight or two in. So let's beef up our conscripts everywhere. Oh, not too much. We need crops. Do some crops here too. So I think that's all for this turn. We'll let time pass. While we do that, I'll manage the Twitter feed. All right, speed things up. Don't have to watch all that crap happening. Seasons are going to change, so all of that grass and those froggy sounds, or locusts, I don't know what those are. So, found nothing. Found a landmark in Inuyama Castle, and there's more Ronin. So here it'll give us a little bit more idea of what specifically we found. You can actually go through those, and looks like we found a fountain. Looks like we found a couple of things there, so we can zoom over there and find out what it was we actually found. So there's our fountain, and apparently we found something else. Don't see what it is. It might be one of these. So we have a fair, Nagoya Castle. There's our fountain. So anyhow, there's stuff there. All right, so time to make some decisions. You know what? Since we need to accelerate things a little bit, let's do this. We actually have an Imagawa settlement within reach here. We don't actually know yet how many people are there. It's giving us an estimate of about 1,000 soldiers, but I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to use that same investigate menu, and we're going to take a look. Oh, we also have Narumi here. Tell you what, we got enough money. We've got the will. We're going to send Nobunaga to take a look at that one. And we are going to also take a look at the other one. Figure out which of these we want to make a move on. And let's see, what other diplomacy do we want to do? Looks like we can actually build some things. We can actually use our labor. If you look up at the top of the screen, we have 15 of those arm muscle things. We have the ability to build new improvements in our different areas, so we can actually take a look at each of these districts. And there's a kind of a small tree of things that you can have available. So we already have a commons, and it's telling us that we can build canals to improve crops, village, making more for crops, and then each of those has a little sub-item below it. Farmer's Fair, gold income, we have a temple or hunting ground. You know what, let's go full hunting ground on this one. It's going to take us time and money to build those things, so I don't know that we're going to get to them before the end of this particular section here, but we've got some more labor that we can spend. We can actually beef up some roads, so here you can see each of the roads has a value. So this one was 2, we can bump that up to 3, bump this one up to 2 and 3, there we go. That should be enough. Who do we want to assign to that? So you can see that you can go through your officers pretty quickly here. They're used for pretty much everything. So you've always got to make sure to keep them happy and make sure that they are distributed where they will do you the most good. So, looks like road improvement is, and you can actually see little pop-ups down here in the corner, I guess technically right up here. So road work is improving things, it's improving our bases, Hunting ground has been constructed, so it took us a month to do all of that. Looks like something is going on here in feudal Japan. Looks like the Azai clan's having some issues. They're concerned about the Rokaku clan. So, this day has come at last. Indeed, Lord Nagamasa has finally come of age. Ah, how long it was. Yet today we say farewell to our time of servitude. Ooh, these guys are going to rise up. Alright, stuff is happening. This guy would be honored to die. If they mess up, they'll have to open their stomachs. We're getting the true feudal Japanese flavor here. Alright. So what I'm expecting to see here is we've scouted one or more castles. Here we can see that we've finished scouting those castles. Let's take a look at those and see what specifically we found. So they have 1,500 troops. We only estimated 1,500. They've got 1,575. Over here, 1,578. So these guys are actually looking pretty well fortified. But you know what? Screw it. Over here on the left-hand side, we're going to switch over to our battle menu. We're going to deploy, and we're going to deploy on Narumi Castle. So you can see it's going to give us a little bit of a preview of what's going to happen. All these little triangle things, those are each armies. It's going to tell me up at the top how much food and how much money it's going to cost us, how many horses we're spending on this, and it's telling me, are you sure you want to do this? It gives me a chance to organize later, but you know what, we're just going to say, I trust your judgment. We're going to make this happen. It looks like we actually have somebody... well, now that is interesting. I have to be honest, I'm not sure why some of our dudes think that they want to march all the way down here, but let's find out what happens. So we're going to end our turn. Actually, you know what we're going to do real quick? Tell you what, I do not want to manage the improvement on all of my towns, so we're going to go down to our province setting. We're going to set up a delegate option here, which is really nice. We're going to delegate this one. We're going to delegate this one. We're going to delegate this. We're going to delegate all of this. So I don't have to make those choices anymore. We can tell it exactly what we want them to do, to develop things, to trade, to add stuff, to repair, to do all of that. You know what? Do it. Do it all. All right. Thank you, Kinoshita-san. Let's rock and roll. So we're going to end our planning phase here, and we're going to go into the real-time movement phase. Going to slow it down a little bit, and there you can see everybody's going. So the enemies, I'm sorry, the armies are going to sort of reform. They turn into those little, you've probably seen these before, they kind of look like the Tetris T-block. Oh, there goes that guy. I don't know where he is going. So Narumi Castle apparently was the, that was the target of our quest a little bit earlier, so hooray for me. In the chat, Mate says we are rocking and rolling in Japan. I'm pretty sure they didn't say for the sake of the clan, they're going to surrender for the sake of the clan. Alright, so story has happened. Hold an event battle? Heck yeah, we're going to hold an event battle. So this is when you switch to the actual fighting. So here's where fighting happens. And I will tell you, I was kind of surprised to find that fighting is not as big a factor in this as you would imagine. It does happen, and a lot of times it can happen on its own, so you don't have to take direct control, but fighting is, this is not necessarily a fighting game. This is not Kessen, if you've played that game, where it's all about fighting. This is a lot more about the, building the infrastructure. Defeat Yoshimoto Imagawa. Well, right now, Imagawa seems to only have this particular unit here. 2,800 soldiers. We've got 3,500. Another 500. We've got 4,000 dudes here. A lot of horse. No guns yet, so at this point in Japan's history, no Westerners. Each of the units has officers attached, so when we deployed, it pretty much auto-selected for us. Each officer has one or more skills that they can deploy during battle. You can actually see your little dudes if you zoom in. You can kind of see them marching around. I find personally that it really is better to see the bigger picture here. So rainy, that will definitely affect things. For our purposes, though, I'm going to select one of these. I'm going to tell them to move it on up. And, you know, normally we can employ a little bit more strategy, but I feel like they're sort of making this a gimme for us. So we're just going to move everyone forward. To heck with strategy, and we're just going to tell them to move it on up. So we're just going to march right through that tree. F off, tree. We can actually speed this up as well. Imagawa. Oh. They can tell by the smell that we approach. Well noticed, Yoshimoto, but you are too late. Attacking from the front under the cover of rain. Haha, you are truly like a storm. Okay. So this guy might have... Ooh, let's slow it down a little bit. So we might have... Oh, so this guy down here, he is not happy right at the moment. We are going to... actually, let's back him off. We're going to move him out of melee range. So those green lines there... Oh, hello. So he's using some abilities on us. Let's do this. You know what? We're gonna do some... Ah, you know what? We actually do have some guns. How about that? But instead, we're going to increase our ranged attack on them. And if they don't really stop marching forward... So he's only got an ability that'll raise his attack. We need this guy to get with it. And you know what else we're going to do here? Since they're well ahead of us, cavalry charge time. With a chance to confuse the enemy. Indeed, indeed. So we're going to watch that play out. Please be careful, my lord. They have noticed our attack and have begun to move. I knew it. I knew it. Enemy reinforcements. And this guy is still not quite... backed off far enough. Let's move this guy up here as well. Okay, so yes, they've noticed our attack and begun to move. I hope they're not gonna... Oh, okay, so they've got more dudes showing up. So if you'll notice... Whoops, you probably won't notice. Too late. They're getting pretty much hammered by that cavalry charge. Oh, they've got more dudes, though. This is not what we signed up for. Okay, something is going on. More guys. More guys. So our dude here started out with 500. He got pretty smeared. But between the two of them, we've defeated Yoshimoto Imagawa. I don't think that necessarily means that the battle is over. They've cornered Yoshimoto Imagawa. Horseman left him with grave wounds. Perhaps he can fell him at last. I'll watch his death myself. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Yep, Imagawa. Alright, Daimyo. Things are happening. Curtains, Yoshimoto. This is legitimate ancient Japanese dialogue. Curtains. It's curtains for you, Imagawa. So he's telling us something poetic. He cuts his own belly. The end of Imagawa. So it gave us, like I said at the beginning, I think this was more or less a gimme. This is not the end of this scenario by a long shot. So since we beat the boss, we have defeated him at the Battle of Okizahama, and all of his other people, they don't care anymore. They're not going to avenge his death or nothing. Oh, but another Imagawa rises. Ujizane Imagawa has inherited. Pretty good. So we're coming up on just about the half-hour mark, which is kind of what we try and limit this to, just to be... There's a lot of stuff going on out there. You could be watching television, you could be playing your own games, so we realize that you're not going to want to sit through all of this. So we did win our first battle here at the Battle of Okizahama. Hooray for me. We'll take just a minute here and grant an audience to the Matsudaira clan. I believe that these guys were one of our nearby... So these guys won an alliance for 60 months. This mostly doesn't... Oh, so yeah, here's all the bad guys. So we have unleashed the fury. Luckily, we don't have to keep playing. We really could. So we still actually have to capture Narumi Castle here. So that battle was not the end of that. So we currently have them well surrounded. Looks like they're not marching on us either. It looks like we've got a couple of armies of 300, 1100. They're pretty much just guarding their own borders. Actually, these guys are not all... Looks like these guys are more Imagawa, but we've got people kind of guarding their own borders here. So not a bad tactic. You usually want to keep an eye on things before stuff gets out of hand. By the way, what happened to this dude? So let's see what this guy had in mind. Remember this little guy? He came all the way down here to just kind of check things out. 1300. You know what? I tell you what. While we're here, these guys are not Imagawa. However, whatever. We're going to surround you guys too. So we just captured that castle up here. So this is ours now. Everybody reforms back into marching mode, and it's time for our council. So more or less, that's kind of what you're looking at with Nobunaga's ambition sphere of influence. Again, like I mentioned, it is a strategy genre. It's a strategy series that started on consoles. As far as I know, I mean, it's most famous, I think, for being on NES, and has more or less continued in consoles, but now is a little bit more of a PC-centric kind of game. A lot of interface stuff here. I mean, I'm navigating this all with a controller. With a mouse, obviously, it would be a lot easier. So this is our small little corner of Japan that we've carved out for ourselves, the beginning of the end, for those of you who are aware of the story of Nobunaga Oda. Much more is to come. Before we wrap up for today, I would like to just show you the save game that I have been playing. Looks like I've been working on it for several hours. Yes, we want to load it. Loading is complete. All right, so Muniharu Shimizu. All right, so here am I. I chose for my own. I did not choose the Oda clan, so they're down there. It looks like they're doing all right for themselves. I actually chose the Ogasawara clan here in this mountainous region. We started out at Fukashi Castle, and we have been slowly expanding throughout the other provinces. So the thing I wanted to show you is, so all of these, our clan symbol here is this castle-looking thing, so all these brown ones. So here we have Toishi, Komoro Castle, all of this stuff. All of these lands upon which your eye falls belong to the Ogasawara clan. We've expanded to the east, I guess that would be, because remember, Japan it looks like this on all of their ancient maps, but technically it's kind of on its side. So anyway, so we've expanded eastward and westward, and we're moving slowly northward. You can see all of these little purple dots and red dots. Stuff is going down here. But the thing that I really wanted to show you about this, that I find really cool about this game, is when we started on the previous scenario, I was managing one at a time the individual improvements for each of my districts or each of my castles, and that can get pretty tedious over time as you start to acquire land. So a couple things. I showed you one already where you can basically tell the computer to take over the management of improvements for any given individual castle. But the other thing that I've done here, and I don't know if you can see it, but I've actually assigned here you can see the Yukitaka Sanada province. That's the name of a person. That's one of my retainers. Down here we have the Kagemochi Akamatsu, Nagatomo Mizuguchi, and Tomonobu Saito. I just like to say all of these Japanese names. Sorry. I feel like I'm pretty good at it, so I like to do it. But I have assigned castle lords, and I've assigned provinces that I dynamically create. So even though there are geographical locations that are already predefined, I can actually say, you, dude, I want you to be in charge of this, 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 and this one. It creates a cohesive province. The artificial intelligence then takes over and plays on your behalf as basically as a 100% ally, and then you don't have to manage that at all. So up here, what's actually going on is I've told the Saito province here to go ahead and start taking some territory. They sent some dudes in, then I sent some dudes in. More dudes are on their way. There's pretty much dudes everywhere here, so I don't have to worry about any of that. I don't have to fight the battles. In fact, I can't fight the battles unless I have an actual pony in the race, you know, and if I've got somebody there, then I can start taking over and start to do some of that tactical combat. But it's going to play out all on its own, and you know, I'm not sure if things are looking real great there right at the moment, but let's go ahead and let's let this run its course, and let's see what it looks like when these guys are fighting. So they've got a guy who's running away. We just destroyed one there. Another dude's taken off. It looks like the Sakato Castle here, or whatever this is going to be ours pretty quickly. And I didn't have to muster those troops. I didn't necessarily have to fund them. You can see over on the left, I'm getting messages from all of my little you know, retainers and what kinds of things they're doing. Looks like they've brought in some more guys, and then so we're now in. Looks like we are now in full siege mode on Sakato Castle, and its little health bar is slowly, you know, the 200 soldiers that are left there, they're not going to be holding out for long. Looks like we've got some guys coming up on the rear here, but I think the month is going to end before we get too much farther into that. So we've also been doing a lot of clashing down here to the south with, looks like, I don't know who this clan is. Who are these guys? So, and then here I get my... And so they'll give me reports, you know, we've got this castle surrounded by 5,000 people, it's only a matter of time. Yes, it is, Saito-san. Yes, it is. And we've been spending a lot of money. Our income is about 1,600 bucks less than what we are making. But a lot of that, as you get further into the game, you also get into policies and things that are sort of cohesive, unifying, you know, what would you call those? Efforts that you undertake, you know, a lot of stuff. So infrastructure costs 3,000, policy. So that's what I was talking about. That cost me a little bit of money, and all of our guys will increase in skill, and a lot of stuff starts happening. So other daimyo are dying, other daimyo are submitting to bigger clans. All of this stuff happens. Adjacent bases growing due to road improvements. Looks like up here. So these guys are in charge of everything. Those daimyo that I mentioned, I mean, they're improving all of their own roads. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And the way that this game scales, I find that very attractive, because like I said, it's easy at the beginning to kind of get stuck on, you know, the little micromanagey things. But you can do that if you want to, but again, it kind of gives you a little bit more flexibility, because as you can see, that's my one small province. Enemies surround us on all sides, and so we need to be we need to work as a team, basically. So it's cool that the game gives you that that assistance there, because otherwise it would just get too big. It's just too much. So there you have it. That is in a more or less 30 minutes. I guess we're a little bit over time, but that is more or less in a nutshell the breadth of Nobunaga's ambition sphere of influence. We're going to run back out to the main menu to close it out here, but I just wanted to thank you for showing up tonight. I wanted to thank you for checking out our other efforts as well. So as I mentioned, Jared Red Eye Dunn normally will do these streams, so I'm Jeremy Lawman Lamont, just kind of filling in for today. We also have an audio podcast that I mentioned a little bit earlier, the GameBytes Show. You can check us out on gamebytesshow.com, where we similarly try to keep things into small, digestible little game bites of approximately 30 minutes, but we won't talk about our track record with keeping it short. We'll alternate between the games that we've been playing. This week I'll be talking about Nobunaga's Ambition, so if you want to hear more about my thoughts on that, certainly look for that podcast. And then at the top of the week, we will do a podcast about video game news, new releases, and topic of the week, where we'll discuss whatever happens to be attracting our attention on that particular week. So again, I want to thank you for tuning in, and check us out. This should be on Twitch TV's archives here pretty shortly. You can also find us on youtube.com/GameBytesShow. We're doing a little bit more over there as well, since YouTube Gaming has launched. Check out our website, gamebyteshow.com, and you can basically see all of that stuff, some of our recent interesting streams, all of our audio podcasts. Subscribe to us on iTunes, and if you're using Android, we have direct RSS feeds. You can do that as well, and we will try and make it worth your while. Also, feel free to reach out to us. On Twitter, we can be found at GameBytesShow. You can find me. I am at Jeremy_Lamont. Jared Red-Eye Dunn is at RED_I. You can also find LeGrand and Dale Jones on the internet as well. So we look forward to hearing from you and hearing your thoughts on the games that we're talking about. So thank you very much. That is Nobunaga's Ambition Sphere of Influence. Tune in next time when we will do who knows what. Hopefully something interesting. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.